All right, people. We got 2 minutes, says the lady on the phone. No, not me. We got 2 minutes till it's time to grow up. I need you all to know that this is growth for me because I am not a fan. But I told people that I would try it, and so I'm going to, no, trying leaves room for error and excuses. I'm just doing it. We got a minute, so you guys got time to kind of get your stuff together. Go ahead and sit in a comfortable seat. Tonight will be a great night to have some pen and paper. Yeah, so go ahead and do that. Get those things in order. Some of you guys might want to take a little bit of wine. Don't say I told you. But get your stuff together. We got a minute, and then we're about to grow on. Yeah, I'm going to be doing this because you guys got me nervous. I'm not usually nervous, but I'm a little nervous tonight. I know you got me. Y'all got me? High five. Bam, a lamb. Y'all see I got my little sign back there, right? Yeah, my little t-shirt right there. Yeah, I got you. I got you. Oh, I'm going to take this thing off so you guys can actually hear the intro because maybe some people have not ever heard it. I don't know, but we'll see. So my eyes won't always be on you, but your eyes should always be on me. I wonder if anybody's going to call in tonight since everybody might be listening.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds.
Hear that?
4,
5 seconds.
3.
You ready?
2.
Let me turn it up
1.
for y'all. Y'all can see the dance that I usually do when it come on because I love this song.
Love Talk Radio.
Do it, y'all. Don't you make me want to do this? You remember this dance, y'all?
The best hour that you'll ever spend with another woman in your life. Conversations with Angie, Harvey will make everything alright. Catch her on D3 Radio. You never want to miss a show. You know, I know, we know. Angie, Harvey will make you grow. Conversation. Angie, Harvey. Conversation. Angie, Harvey.
Do it, y'all.
Angie, Harvey. Conversation. Angie, Harvey.
Y'all get that? Oh, I see the love. I see the love. I see the love. I see the love, my people. I see the love. Hey, 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 my people. This is Conversations with Angie Harvey. And I'm your host, Angie Harvey. Want to see something cute? Look. Bam! I kind of feel bad because it's the same hat. But it's all right. Hey, you guys, welcome to Conversations with Angie Harvey. And I'm not sure whether you are doing this on purpose or by accident. It really doesn't matter to me. As long as you're growing up, you showed up, we're about to grow up. I want to welcome my newcomers. I know I got a lot of folks out there. And I say a lot because, as you know, we're live. We're live on Facebook. So I know we got a lot of people listening in for the first time. I want to congratulate you on showing up. You did your part. I'm going to do my part. I say you show up, we going to grow up. But I have to first say, hey, you know who that hey is for? My ride or die people. These are people that show up every second, every fourth Tuesday of the month to hear Conversation with Angie Harvey, to grow up on purpose. These people don't do it by accident. These are people that do it on purpose. You're going to be one of those people. Watch what I tell you. Right, right, right. Right, right. I say that a lot. Right, right, right. So maybe I'll just say right, and you guys can get the right. It don't matter. Now, there's a couple things I'm going to need you guys to know. One is this is my first time doing this live, so I'm toddling. So I don't want anybody to say, well, she didn't look at me. She wasn't looking into the camera. I didn't get to see her eyes. Listen, I'm out on the ledge here with this growth thing. But the one thing I do want you to know that this is about to be the best hour that you ever spent with another woman in your life, no matter your preference. Bam! I said it. 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 Like I said, this is my first time. And so I need you guys to know that if you have questions or you're going to respond to things, because I see this thing down here and it says the people are there. You guys are looking and listening. I want you to know that I'm not going to be able to respond to your questions. I can barely do what it is I'm doing already. You guys forgive me in advance? Okay. It looks like there's like not anybody on the phone. So did everybody decide they're going to watch me? You guys are for real making me nervous now. Okay, good. Somebody came on. I won't be as nervous. Listen, if you're not planning to grow up tonight, you might as well hang up the phone. because we about to do it, and we're doing it big. But I want you to do me a favor. Go ahead and call and text and post and tweet and skywrite all those people who you think might need to listen, and then think again. Everybody needs to listen. So go ahead and let them know that we're live with Angie Harvey. Listen, you might need to get them some information. Let them know that they can listen via the internet at blogtalkradio.com/E3radio, or they can call in at 646-478-4395. I'm giving y'all a lot of attention. You see me trying to give you attention? Right. Obviously, if they want to, they can also catch the news feed. So I understand that this goes through everybody's news feed that's a friend of mine and that type of thing. So you might not even need to tell them. They might already know. I'm a little nervous. I'm actually a lot of nervous. Okay, I'm a nervous wreck. But anyway, we're going to get through this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. I need to give a disclaimer. All of the dialogue tonight on the show are actually my thoughts, my opinions, my voice. You know why? Because it's my show. Conversation with who? Angie Harvey. Yeah. I want to say that because I don't want to get Anna Deshawn in any trouble. You know, she's the owner and the creator of E3 Radio. Hey, boss. So just in case I grow too far, I don't want you guys to blame her. Okay? You can blame her anyway. Okay, so you want to know where I got this topic from? There's a lot of things going on in the world right now. A lot of different things, from mamas throwing their babies out of windows, to cops killing unarmed people, to priests doing things ungodly with boys. And my thought was, I got a lot of inboxes from people who literally were frustrated. Actually, the one that prompted this show, that kind of tilted me over the edge, was a person that called in, or that inboxed me and said, Angie, you know, I need to hear from you. You know, you're usually saying something. There are people looking, and we need your wisdom. It's a lot of things going on right now, and we don't know what to do. We need some guidance. And I told her, I'm a lightweight hothead. So I really and truly try to stay in my lane. When I'm growing off, I'm usually growing off offline. But since she and so many people requested that we had this conversation, but this conversation isn't going to be about those things that are happening in the headlines. These things are going to be about how we can grow from those things that are happening in the headlines. I did just say to you that I'm an undercover hothead. Yeah. So me having those kind of conversations might be a little, we wouldn't be able to take that one online. But anyway, I want to take what's being written, what's being said, what we see, what we've been shown, and I want to give you guys something to grow with. And I know what you're thinking, Angie, how are you going to spin this? How is it that you can say that we can grow from some of this tragedy that is happening, not only in our world, in our place, but in this world? And you know what? You asked me, I'm getting ready to try it. So anybody that knows me knows that I have long been a fan of, not a fan, but I believe with my whole heart that so much of what's going on with this world has everything to do with us being unable to manage our emotions. Yes, I said that. You need to write that down. Unable to manage our emotions. That being said, I thought to myself, how can I best teach, for lack of a better word, some of the growing folks how to grow up in that way? It's also the anniversary of the Orlando massacre that happened at, what is it called? Pulse nightclub. And I want you guys to know, I'm not sure that anybody took notice, but I was probably offline a couple of days. I really was challenged with that. And it hit me unexpectedly because I am an amazing emotional manager. I manage my emotions very well. And I had a very difficult time. So much so I actually reached out to people. And you're probably saying, Angie, that should be normal. Well, it's not, because I can usually do that very well. But I had to reach out to a few people. I reached out to my mommy and to a couple of good friends of mine. And it was important that I had the support that I needed, because I knew there would come a time where I would actually need to be supportive of other people. And for that reason, I got a little help. I had to get a little help. It was kind of difficult. And so what I'm going to do is actually I picked a few headlines. Actually, I said a few. Actually, I picked 9 or 10. I'm not sure how many we're going to get through. Again, if you have a question, I can still answer the phone. You have to call 646. Did I say that right? 646-478-4395. So if you have a question or a comment, because I see you guys down here and you're saying stuff. Somebody said don't be nervous. Aw. But you're going to have to call in if you have a question, because I won't be able to address that. Trust me, I'm like out of here already. Right? Right. All right then. So we're going to jump right in there and get this growing. Let me first say this to you, that I created or came up with this thing called Bringing Your A Game. And it's my thought that in order to change anything, you have to have a few things in place. You cannot change anything that you're not aware of. And so the first A in bringing your A game is to be aware. To also acknowledge. Sometimes people say, oh no, that's not me. Well, how able are you to actually move things or to change things if you won't even acknowledge that it's a part of you? It's who you are, it's how you act, it's how you flow, any of those things. Also to accept. So you got aware, acknowledge, accept, and then the hard part, the action. So please know that there's action and then there's aftercare, because what you need to know, I found out very early on in my career that aftercare is continual, meaning it's never ending, meaning you will always, always, always have to check yourself. Always, always, always. And so I want you guys to keep that in mind, because many of the things that I'm going to ask you to do is going to have everything to do with managing your emotions. And so thus, we're going to talk about some of those emotions. You'd be surprised how many people I say, how are you feeling? And they can't give me what they're feeling. They don't know how to identify it. And you can't change or alter or even move something if you can't even identify it. So your A game, aware, acknowledge, accept, action, and aftercare. Got it? Okay. The second thing that we're going to talk about throughout the show is going to be what I call emotional intelligence. And just to put it simply, emotional intelligence for the purpose of this conversation tonight is going to be you being able to identify what you feel and to be able to verbalize what you feel. Because many of us, let me just keep this simple. Many of us can't do it. We don't do it well. And so you guys are just honoring me. I'm so excited. But anyway, be clear about that. The other thing is, the thing that I talked about earlier is called emotional management. What is emotional management, Angie? It's being able to take what you feel and not let it alter you in a negative or an adverse way, but being able to contain it, to restrain it, to tackle it, to do whatever it is that you need to do, not to have you act out of character. So again, we're going to go through some of the headlines and you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about when I say to you that so much of what's going on in the world doesn't have anything to do with hate. It has very little to do with gun control. It has very little to do with inappropriate rules and regulations and policies and procedures. But it has a lot to do with emotional management. And the reason this is such a big deal is because if you think about it, nobody else is talking about this. If you think about it, you didn't learn it in high school. If there was a college class, you guys didn't take it because they weren't going to give you credit for it. And then guess what? We turn out to be adults, and then here comes this big mouth, loud, high yellow, sexy, did I say sexy? Chick talking about emotional management. What is that? Emotional management is being able to appropriately handle the emotions that arise and eliminate any adverse behaviors, actions, or speech as a result. The mouth. Yeah, you guys. Yeah, you got it bad. To know that emotion, what that emotion is, to even know some of the precursor for that emotion and to know it's coming, and to find ways to be able to decrease, eliminate, curtail, or avoid it altogether. Everybody get that? Yeah, I'm going to repeat it at the end of the show. But meanwhile, we're going to jump right into this thing. Let me give you this. I can give you a prime example of it. Big Mama, or grandma, or granny, or G-mama, or Gigi, whatever you called it. Back in the day, grandmas used to keep all the children, grandchildren, the nieces, and the nephews. And she kept them all where? They were either in the house or they were in the front yard. In order for grandma, granny, big mama to keep hold of all of her grandkids, she had to contain them. She had to be able to identify them and know where they were. Same thing goes for our emotions. Right. You have to know where they are, know where to find them, and not allow them to get away from you. Some of us got our emotions around the corner, out the state. Some of y'all emotions are international. Yeah. They got a passport and you don't even have a passport. I said all that to say some of our emotions are all over the place and we have no way of being able to manage that. You cannot manage anything that you can't even see or can't even call out. You ready? I'm going to start with y'all real easy. Took a headline. Thunder fans burn Kevin Durant's jersey after the star announces he's headed to the Warriors. And I know what you're saying. Come on now, Angie. What's with that? But you have to be clear. What are the unmanaged emotions in that? I'm sitting here like I'm waiting on y'all to say something. I'm going to tell you what those are. The unmanaged emotions are anger, abandonment, being scared, being offended, feeling betrayed. Yes, those fans, the ones that are burning his jersey. And I know what you're thinking to yourself. You would have never thought of that. Somebody's burning what they don't realize that they burning his number, but they burning their money. Right. Do you think Kevin Durant is someplace crying because y'all burned the money that y'all spent? No. But our emotions got away from us and we decided to lash out. And usually, almost always, when we carry the weight and the burden of having unmanaged emotions, it falls completely on us. There's usually not another person that is devastated like we are when we're not able to do that. You got that? Right. Did you get that? Anger. And I know a little bit about that. So the second thing we're going to talk about is what types of things did you feel when you read that? When I read it, I felt amused. I felt entertained. Are any of those things necessarily adverse or heavy? Not necessarily. Not at all. And so, yeah, I gave y'all an easy one. The other thing we're going to talk about is how does it relate? Well, for me, it triggered because guess what? I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. And just a few years ago, LeBron James did the same thing. He left us, but then he came back big time. But absolutely, people were, the city of Cleveland, the entire city of Cleveland, we get along around a couple of different things. Not race relations, but you talk about sports. Yeah, if you a Cleveland fan, you a Cleveland diehard fan, and Cleveland was upset, and they displayed all of those emotions, and they were raw emotions. There were people that cried, that were devastated. They too burned jerseys, so I absolutely can relate. So if you notice what I did, we're going to talk about the unmanaged emotions from these headlines. We're going to talk about the triggers, what we felt when reading those headlines. We're going to also talk about how we were able to relate to that, and like everything I do in life, we're going to talk about how to manage those emotions. We're also going to talk about extracting the lesson. I believe that everything happens for a reason, and I believe there's a lesson and a blessing in everything, and there's growth in everything. You just have to know that it's there, and you just have to look for it. So that was an easy one. And I know what you're about to say because I'm about to give you a headline that's probably going to make you emotional. You ready? Former altar boy says priest molested him while in confessional. Yeah, I know what y'all think. So what were the unmanaged emotions? And right now I'm speaking about the priest. I'm going to simply say desire and maybe urges that could not be contained. And I'm going from a sick point of view, not a pervert point of view. And I'll do a show one day to tell you the difference between those two. Someone who is mentally gone in those places. So those urges or desires, obviously unable to be contained. Those are the unmanaged emotions. So what were some of the things that we might have felt in hearing that? Go ahead, say it. Disgusted, angry, upset, hostile, hateful, bitter. We get all of those things riled up. You guys see what this is doing? If in fact these headlines trigger us, what you all have to know is that some of the ways that we react isn't just to the event. It is also about what triggers inside of us. And the first thing most of us do is we go, that could have been my son. That could have been my nephew. That could have been my this. That could have been my that. But be clear that most things in life we are triggered by, and they trigger things that we've either experienced ourselves, or they trigger things that we're going through, or y'all know we are the judges of the judges. So even if it doesn't trigger anything, we got judgment for it, right? How are we able to relate to that? Most of us have some type of childhood trauma or know someone who has had childhood trauma, right? So all of us are thinking about those types of things. Many of us are still keeping some of the secrets of that deviant behavior, right? So you can imagine reading this headline and going places that you never thought you would go. And most of us think it's just because of what happened. But 9 times out of 10 it's because it sparks some type of emotion. Do you see why then being able to manage your emotions is so important? Exactly. What can you do? Be aware. So you need to be aware that there's things that happen in your daily life that can trigger you to be emotional. In order for you to be able to manage your emotions, you absolutely know that, literally for 3 days, I didn't watch TV. I no longer watch the morning news. I couldn't do it. I haven't seen any of the videos of those different things. I accidentally saw what happened in Dallas because I was on vacation, and I knew in advance. I knew some of the things, some of the emotions that rose. And so I made a conscious decision not to go to those places until I'm able to manage those emotions. Because what you do need to know is that many times when we're not able to manage those emotions, they're unleashed in very non-productive ways. You got it? Got it. So you want to be aware. I'm going to ask that you seek professional, and some of this is across the board, not just for this particular headline, but you want to seek professional assistance. Rid yourself of some of the guilt, because many of us are still carrying some of the guilt and the shame and the responsibility of the things that did happen to us. Now you see how that just turned from a headline to us? Yeah, you need to be aware. I need y'all to know that I'm a little hot. I got on this shirt and it's long sleeve. And I feel like I'm under a spotlight. I'm trying to get y'all a little light, a little glare. But anyway, y'all with me? You with me? All right. So wait a minute. The lesson. I didn't write the lesson down, but I got the lesson, people. The lesson is communicate, people. There are many children that have unspeakable things happen to them, and their parents never ask questions, or they see and feel and sense different things that go on with their children, and they never, ever, ever communicate, never given their children permission to tell them the truth. So here's a headline that sparked emotions, and here's the lesson that wasn't a lesson that anybody wrote for us in the article, but these are lessons that you can absolutely take away. Being able to speak your truth. Many of our children don't know the types of things that happen to us as children. That would kind of alleviate some of the guilt or the shame they may have if it happens to them, or if it's already happened to them. But we don't even speak our truth. We don't share our stories. Know what bondage is, and know then that's what you don't want. So here's a great lesson. To know that what it feels like to be in emotional bondage, or to be an emotional mute, being unable to share feelings because of some things that have happened to you, and being unable to do those things. And guess what? Bow yeah. There you got the growth. You got the lesson and the growth. You got the emotions that came up and how to handle those things. Again, in order to handle them, you got to bring your A game. You have to be aware. You have to acknowledge. You have to accept. You have to take action and aftercare. You got it? Got it. I love these little things you guys got coming up around us. That's way cute. I think it's cute. Y'all think it's cute? So I need you to grow on this. Our emotions and how we feel are impacted by many things. How something is communicated, how it's delivered, how it impacts our ego, how close it comes to our pride, how it pulls at our heartstrings, if it's intentfulness with it. Did you get that? Somebody called me. I wonder if the phone went out. Did you guys still see me? Anyway, don't call me, people. I'm live on Facebook. Anyway, the other thing is, and this is the thing that most people don't take into account, in order for some of this stuff to rise, because some of us have some very suppressed emotions, and we're still on just the first headline. just think about how much that's had to travel. If in fact you've had to have this thing be unleashed, and you're reading about this altar boy being molested while in confessional, and you think about your own stuff or some of your sister's stuff or friend stuff or whatever that looks like. Think about how far that had to travel through your mind, through your spirit. And then be clear that some of the lesson is the best way to have it not travel is to have it not be there. To be able to manage that, to be able to rid yourself of some of those things. And yep, for some people, oh, they said it did black out the screen. I'm going to tell people not to do that. Right. Okay. Right. Here you go. And so be clear about how all that works. You got that? All right. Here's the next headline. You ready? Daycare worker accused of abusing 4-year-old. Unmanaged emotion, control on behalf of the abuser, hurt, abused. It's a scientific fact that most people that abuse children were abused themselves. It could be her feeling ugly. It could be her feeling unworthy. It could be her trying to exercise some power. It could be a many different things. But again, because those emotions are unmanaged. Are you guys following me on this? This is not just this. This is most of the headlines you can find where someone's unable to handle that emotion. This woman, unable to handle that. What types of things come up for us? Anger. We're disgusted. We're upset. We're hateful. We actually feel like we want to go jump on somebody. We're depressed about it. We can feel many, many, many different things. And it didn't even happen to us. We just read it. Be clear. So then those are emotions that we have to manage. How are we able to relate? 1 in 3 of us have been verbally, emotionally, or physically abused. Right. We want to even take that up a notch. 1 in 5 of us as adults have been verbally, emotionally, or physically abused. So of course then we're even able to relate. What can you do? Seek help. Educate. Protect others, especially our young. I think we're all responsible. Not just you with your children or your nieces, your nephew, your grandkids. We all have to be responsible for these children. If you're able to, identify with the abuser. Because I need to be clear that I'm not just talking to people who get abused. There are some people that follow me, that are friends with me, that know me, that are people that abuse verbally and emotionally and psychologically and physically abuse other people. If you're able to identify with the abuser, then you need to be clear that comes up for you as well. How do you manage that? Because some people feel like out of socket. And what a lot of things that happens, they project, do all types of defense mechanisms. Defense mechanism happens when your ego feels like, hey, you need to do something to protect yourself. And then you do something to cover. That's what I'm going to call a defense mechanism. It's a cover. And that's what it is. What's the lesson? I need us to educate our youth, ease their anxiety about some of the guilt and the shame and the responsibility that abusers can sometimes put on us when we're abused. Please know that it exists. People we keep at, I'm not sure how it is that someone who was, there's many different, I did a show on this a couple of months ago. There are people who have been abused by the same person in the same family. Why? Because nobody said anything. So we need to at least acknowledge people that it exists. Abuse in our schools happen. When kids come home and say, Mommy, such and such did something, I don't need you to just kind of shoot it off. I need you to be present at that daycare center. Right, if it's still there, because, you know, if my grandbaby is there, it probably gonna be missing. I probably shouldn't say that live, huh? Oh well, anyway, and keep your eyes and ears open. There are many different signs and symptoms of kids and even adults that are being abused. If your kid is chronically wetting the bed, or becomes very, very against going to school or being with a certain person, I am blown away how many people will force their children to be with somebody their kids act a fool with. Some of that is for good reason. Some of that is for good reason, people, and you need to look into that. All right, then, here you go. Another headline. Police says that a man says he killed his wife because of her health and her drug cost. Unmanaged emotions. He was tired, feeling indifferent, frustrated, angry. He could have been sick himself, drained, burned out, powerless, hopeless, helpless. Yes. unmanaged emotions. And this is what I need you guys to connect. That those unmanaged emotions led to there being something to happen. Kids being abused. Jerseys being burned. Right? Kids being molested. Wives being killed. Because someone wasn't able to manage their emotions. Because we can't avoid them. We only can manage them. So what were some of the things we felt? Some of us had some empathy for them. I used to work with the elderly. Anger, bitter. Some of us can be very judgmental. You know who I'm talking to, right? How are we able to relate? Anybody that's ever been a caregiver, anybody that's ever been a parent, I absolutely know that when I was a parent, I kept thinking to myself, who's supposed to stay up with the baby? Because I didn't get that. Was I supposed to stay up with the baby? Like, yeah, I didn't sign up for this. My mother said she wanted a grandbaby. I ain't signed up for all this. And so literally us not having knowledge to be able to get over on some of those things. You guys literally are not calling in, so everybody's watching via Facebook, huh? Maybe some people are listening. Okay, I get it. I ain't mad at y'all. I ain't mad at all. You can do what you need to do. Do what you need to do. Some of the lesson in that can absolutely be, listen, if we are adults to elderly parents, if we are adults to caregivers, we need to check in on these people. We need to offer support. If you're a caregiver, take off the Superman cape. You can't do it all. 9 times out of 10, did you hear me say 9 times out of 10? The caregivers sometimes pass away before the actual ill person or elderly person. You need to see that. You need to know that and know that it's very true. So you have to be, in order for you to extract the lesson from this particular headline, you're going to need to know that caregiving is nothing easy. Watching someone you love is very difficult. But bigger than that, being unable to manage those emotions. I read the article. The man was married to his wife for 42 years. So yes, some of us want to see him as a devil and say that and we want to hate him and say that he was no good and how could he do such a thing? But did you hear the emotions that he was not able to manage? And I need everybody to be clear. If in fact we walked and talked and lived with that many unmanaged emotions consistently, none of us can say for sure what we would or would not do, right? Yeah, I know some people might argue with me on that one. But that's okay, because guess what? Y'all hear me. I don't hear y'all. Okay, so here's something to grow on. Suppressed emotions, hurt feelings, unspoken truth, living a lie, unacknowledged truth, unappreciated truth. These are all things that can heighten emotions. Everybody get that? These are all things that can heighten emotions. And when our emotions are on high, we tend to do things that are uncharacteristic. Right. So if I'm quiet, my emotions are on high because me being quiet is uncharacteristic. Ha ha. Right. You got that? All right, then we're going to ease into something that could be a little bit more, I'm just going to say sticky for some people with time. Oh, we're making great time, people. Mass shooting at Orlando gay nightclub. Yeah, this is the one that took me, and I'm gonna make it through this because I definitely can't be live for the first time and you guys see me in tears. That's not gonna happen. It could. Don't hold it against me. Don't judge me. Unmanaged emotions. So the more I read about him, and I promise you, it was by accident because it was everywhere. And then at some point, I just felt like I wanted to know. And so I read a little bit, and then I read a lot. And then I read more, and then I saw more, and then I heard more. I didn't have very many conversations about it. I would not and could not do that. But I want to be clear about some things. I absolutely felt like there was some envy. There was some desires that were unmet by him. I think he had hate in his heart. I think he was very judgmental. I think he felt rejected. I think he was unhappy. I think he was unfulfilled. And I think he was rage. I think that if in fact he aligned himself with some terrorist group, it was just to so some people would rather be known as a terrorist than be known as a homosexual. And that's a whole nother show. But it was in my mind, based on what I read, I saw more things to lead to the fact that this man was very much afraid of himself. And he wasn't, I don't think he was in that place killing gay people because he didn't like them. I think he was killing gay people because he was envious of them, because he was jealous, because they were seemingly living free. And they came to this place on their own accord. They didn't have to hide. They didn't have to change their names or any of those types of things. So you need to be clear about that. I think he was more afraid of himself. And I think every time he picked up a gun and laughed, he, in essence, was shooting him. I bet you he didn't want to have the desire. Did you see his father? His father says, my son was not a homosexual. He ain't saying nothing about my son wasn't a terrorist, because even his father would rather him been a terrorist than a homosexual. Right. So what comes up for us? Y'all ready for this? What comes up for us? We're anger. We're fearful. Some of us want to go do something, but we don't know what to do, so we feel helpless. We're disgusted. We're sad. We're mournful. We're outraged. I was outraged. I was outraged. I want y'all to be clear about something. Did you hear me say rage, judgmental, rejected, unsupported, abandoned, outraged? Did you hear me say all of those things? Notice those things were the same unmanaged emotions that the killer had. We now have them. We now have them. So I want everybody to be clear. And I'm definitely not trying to side with anybody that could cause harm to another spirit. But I need everybody to be clear that many of us aren't but a few unkept emotions away from being in a place that we would find very uncharacteristic of ourselves. How do we relate? Most of us know or love someone who is LGBT, and we instantly put ourselves in that place. Many of us thought about the first time that we ever went to a club, and that we seemingly thought we were in a safe place. And now we look around and we go, wait a minute. And it doesn't make a difference who you are. I know many of us now, we've read headlines to go to a movie theater, to go in the airport, to go take a train, to go in a nightclub, to go sit at the park, to go any of those places now causes us emotions that are so on high. Am I talking loud? Somebody tell me if I'm talking loud, because I feel like I'm getting hyped. Say, Angie, calm down, calm down. Some of us have emotions around that are very unmanaged. And so we find ourselves being very judgmental. Wait a minute. Let me take this a little bit further. Did you peep out some of the stories of the people that were there? I read one story where a family refused to claim the body of one of the victims because he was homosexual, because he was gay. So we could talk about that headline and the unmanaged emotions around that. So many parents feel responsible for making gay children when they should take the pride that they've produced great children. But those are unmanaged emotions that people can't do. What can we do? Manage your emotions and put those to good use. So people, I need everybody to be clear that there is something you can do. But the first thing I'm going to need you to do is check yourself. How you guys ready to run and go help somebody and go on a march and go, we're going to stop shopping and we're going to stop doing this and we're going to stop doing that. Meanwhile, you on antidepressants and cussing out your partner and not being a parent to your kid and not showing up for your job and can't say a whole prayer because you just can't get through it. And you in those places. And you see what we do? We took ourselves out of ourselves because that's what we're used to. And we're getting ready to put on, if y'all can see me now since I know I'm flying, we put on our Superman and we go tend to what we think needs to be managed, when the best way you can help, and I need everybody to be in tune to this, the best way you can help is to help yourself manage your own emotions. But bigger than that, all of us have been assigned to do something here on earth. I believe all of those assignments are for the benefit of other people. And there was somebody in that club, there was somebody around that club that needed a program that you ain't started yet. That needed a counselor that you ain't went and got a degree yet for. Yes, I said ain't. If you got if you judge me on that. Anyway, there are many things that we're supposed to be doing, but we're so wrapped up and tied up in who we are not, that we're not living fruitful in what we're supposed to be. And nobody else can do what you're supposed to do, so it's undone. Which is the reason I can't stop doing what I'm doing. Because there's nobody else to take my place. Not because I'm irreplaceable, but my assignment is my assignment. Your assignment is your assignment. If you want to help, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Get yourself together and do what you're supposed to be doing. Do what you're supposed to be doing. I know that was a preach. I didn't mean to go there. I knew this was going to be a little emotional. But I'd be getting emotional whether I was live or not. How do we manage these emotions? How can we support other people? Bigger than that, what are some of the lessons that we can learn? Be aware of your surroundings. Know that there is no safe space. Don't be so cavalier to believe that you could go someplace and be safe. We're not safe in our homes. And that's not to say be paranoid, but be aware. Be proactive. Yeah, you need to get that going, people. Know that some support from our family and friends is conditional. There were many people that were upset with other people because they didn't feel like they cared. They weren't giving their support. But what you need to know, people, and this is what's real, is that you don't have to be supported by anybody. So you had unmanaged emotions and you wanted support from people who had different types of emotions. And those emotions didn't look like saying, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. There's some people that truly thought that those people got what they deserved. There's some people that was like, yay, good, he did us a service. That, you know, we now have 49 less homosexual gay people, and all of those people weren't even homosexual or gay. But guess what? We were waiting on those people to show up for us, and we weren't showing up for ourselves. Who are you to invite somebody to a party that you ain't showed up to yet? Yeah, I got y'all on that one. Yeah, go ahead, say something. I got you on that one. Know that there's lessons in the stories that we've heard. This man not picking up his child. Families coming in and being disrespectful to their partners who lost their partners. Lessons in the family's reactions to things. There were some people who didn't have knowledge that their children or grandchildren were gay. And those things were imperative. Those are all things that cause us all to feel. It caused us to react. It caused us to be aware. And I need you to be clear that there was lessons in that. But bigger than that, I think what that stemmed from, yes, he should have had no business with a gun. And yes, if he was being looked at in a particular way, he shouldn't have been able to walk in and get all type of ammunition. I don't know why somebody would need an assault weapon if they're not in a war. But bigger than that, this man had unmanaged emotions. Because guess what? I don't have a problem with people hating on me. I have a problem with you hating on me and being disrespectful of my person, being disrespectful to my physical body, being disrespectful to anything that would cause me harm. You can hate all day long. I remember I taught some teachers in the Clark County School District, and we were talking about LGBT kids. And I said, you know what? You can be a judge all day long, but you got your degree to teach. So when you come to the classroom, you leave your judgment, your gavel in the car. You come here to teach. You can be KKK. You can not like black folks. But if you come in to teach, you have to leave your hood in the car. And you come here to teach. So I have some of those emotions, but I manage them. I manage them where I don't cause harm to anybody else. That's what I do. That's what I do. So grow on this. I've heard over and over and over again that hate and guns and prejudice and guns and ignorance and guns and misguidedness and guns and fear and guns and stress and guns is what kills people. And I want you all to be clear, if you don't take anything away from here tonight, I want you all to be clear that our ability or inability to manage our emotions is what ultimately kills and destroys lives. And you could argue with me if you wanted to, but guess what? I know that to be true. I know that to be true. Because there's many people who are able to manage their hate and manage their shame and manage their anger and manage their hostilities that have guns that haven't shot people. Right. You mix in a little unmanaged emotions with that, people, we got problems. Here's another headline for you. She wanted him to suffer. So the sheriff says that a Texas mom killed her 2 daughters in front of her husband. In front of her husband. Unmanaged emotions. She's depressed. She's revengeful. She's desperate. She's upset. She's discouraged. She's hope and helpless. She's angry. She's lonely. She's embarrassed. And now we got 2 dead children. Because she wasn't able to manage that emotions. What do we feel? Because we're feeling some things, aren't we? You feeling some things as I speak. Oh, you guys got cried faces. I see them. Did you guys see that? It's lightning. Did you see that? If we get disconnected, the show will still be televised. I don't know how, but it will. We feel anger. We feel judgment. We feel sick to our stomachs. That how could this mother? But guess what, people? We're all human. We're all human. I don't care what title you hold. I don't care what race you are. I don't care what nationality you are. I don't care what your sexual orientation is. I don't care what your culture is. We're all human. And mothers are just human beings that have given birth to other human beings. So please don't believe because she's a mother that she's supposed to have this thing on lock. Because many of us don't have our emotions on lock. How are we able to relate? Most of us have lost loved ones. And there's been nothing said that has been truer than hurt people hurt people. Hurt people hurt people. So what can we learn from this? Or you know what, I'm going to tell you this. This is how you can manage those emotions. Please know that knowledge is power, and we should always be aware that when people have unmanaged emotions, so when your ex tell you, can you just meet with me? I just need to see you. And her emotions are unmanaged, there's going to be some problems. I'm just saying. Right. We need to be clear about that. That's one of the lessons in that. That's one of the ways that we can manage some of that. Know that when somebody's in a crisis and they have unmanaged emotions, that's when most fights happen, when most arguments happen, when the police is being called. Don't mix in alcohol or drugs. Oh, then we got real problems, people. So be clear about how all that works. And then in those situations, we find ourselves helpless, and we end up saying things and making promises just to get out of the situation. I know y'all been there. Been sitting there with the ex. You've been talking for like 6 hours now, and they just don't understand why you don't want to be in this place anymore. Unmanaged emotions. And guess what? Y'all end up saying something like, okay, we can work on it. And you saying all that just so you can get up and get out of there. Huh? Yeah, I know all your secrets. All righty, then here you go. Oh, this one got me hot. Yeah, I felt some stuff around this one. Family says bullying led to teens' suicide. Everybody got that? That bullying led to teen suicide. Unmanaged emotions by the teen. Helplessness, embarrassment, shame, guilt, doubt, unloved, sad. I can imagine those are a lot of the things that someone has to feel to take their own life. And that's deep. That's deep. But what's even deeper is that this child's mother wants to sue the school and the school district. But let me take you back to the story. The story says that this young woman hung herself in a closet, in a bedroom, one door from her mother. Her mother wants to sue the school district because her daughter was being bullied. Okay, what are we feeling, people? We angry? I'm angry. Can you tell I'm angry? I'm angry. I'm upset. I'm mournful. I'm worried. I'm concerned. Let me tell you what my concern is. My concern isn't for the bully. Let me be clear. We will never be able to stop people from talking about people. It won't ever happen. But guess what we can do? If mommy was in the baby's room when she was crying, when she made a noose, when she pulled her clothes from the closet to the bedroom, if you know that your kids are being bullied, or being picked on, or being abused, or being anything that's adverse, as a parent, that is your responsibility. So yeah, I was a little irate, right? Can you tell? Right. So how are we able to relate to this? Many of us have been bullied, and many of us know bullies. Many of us know childhood bullies, and some of us even know adult bullies. And it's even magnified in this day and age of technology. Trigger people. We have children, we have nieces, we have nephews, we have grandkids. And yeah, we need to be on top of that. And this is what's so important. Our children's self-esteem is built and destroyed at home. I'm going to let y'all sit with that for a minute. This is called a therapeutic pause. I'm going to let you marinate with that for a second. Your child's self-esteem, any child's self-esteem, is built and destroyed at home. That's not a teacher's responsibility. We have to get better at empowering our children to practice self-love and to have confidence, because that is the only way to silence a bully. The only way to silence a bully is to not be moved by their words, not to be caught off guard by their tactics or their actions. Because we'll never get people. We can't even get people to call our President Obama. And we can't make him. But guess what? He don't flinch. He answers to it. Let's be clear that the only way to stop a bully is for our children to feel confident in who they are, to be self-loving. And I need you to be clear about this. Oh, I feel like I'm about to start going off, and I don't want to start going off. But here's the lesson. Be aware and be careful of how you speak to children. Not just children, to adults. Many of us adults are just fragile, aged children. We have to be clear. I'm mortified when I hear people call people out their names. Children are called dummy and stupid and good for nothing. I wish I hadn't had you. Come here, you get on my nerve. What are you doing? That's not how we should talk to our children. So guess what? Ooh, this just came to me. The first bully that most kids encounter is at home, with their parents, with their siblings. Let's be clear. So this mama want to go to the school district and sue somebody. Yeah, I want to sue her. I'm just saying. I want you to be mindful that raising children and empowering the children is our responsibility. So entertainers should entertain. Teachers should educate, but baby, it's on you to empower, to enhance, to enlighten your children. Yeah, I'm trying to put that off on somebody else. Right, I'm just saying. And then I need you to give people permission to speak their truth. I'm sure this kid felt something. I know that she felt something. And I know that she wanted to reach out to something. But she probably was raised in a household where children should be seen and not heard. I'm sure her mother told her over and over again, go tell your principal. Go tell your principal. And guess what? She wasn't reaching out for her principal. She needed her mother. She needed somebody to tell her that she was beautiful in spite of what those people were saying. She needed somebody to tell her that she was worthy and she was enough in spite of what was being said for her at school. And those types of things come from home. Yeah, I'm going to get off that soapbox. Yeah, it's almost time. Now, we might run over a little bit, and I'm going to give extra credit for everybody that stays with me. And I'm going to talk about everybody that doesn't. Right, I'm going to have unmanaged emotions around that if y'all leave me. So, yeah, that was something. That was something to me. I saved these last two for last because I knew that they were going to be something. So we all know about, or most of us have heard about, this police stop that ends up ending in a man being shot to death, and then it being streamed live, sort of like what we're doing now. And I can imagine. I'm gonna do this a different way though, and some people might get after me for doing this. I'm going to tell you what I think was happening with this cop. I think that we give policemen more credit than what they have. I think we believe that once they put on a suit, a blue suit, and once they put their gun on their thing, that gives them the ability to believe that they're invincible. And that they relieve themselves of their emotions and of their prejudices and of their fears and of their anxiety and of their nervousness. But guess what, people? It don't happen like that. Just as sure as I put on this orange shirt, it's no different than their blue suits, except I don't have a gun on my hip, mainly because my hips are too big. But be clear, these policemen are just men that had to go through a course to learn a trade, to do a job. But imagine having to encounter all different types of people. Now, I'm not saying that anybody deserves to be killed. I absolutely do not believe that. But this is what I do know, that it's got to be something out there that have to be so fearful for your life that you would do unspeakable things to human spirits. So I don't believe that half the people that we claim is a race thing. But guess what? Let me just give you an example of this. Do I want to do this? I want to do this. So this is what you know. You have a culture of people. And let's just take Caucasian people. And I know, because I'm an African American person, the things that I heard about Caucasian people in the hood. Well, guess what? While we were talking, they were talking. So we developed some preconceived notions about who they were. And then I joined the police force. I'm a Caucasian male. I joined the police force, and what I hear from my brothers, my blue brothers, is, man, you got to take them down fast, or man, you got to do this, or man, you got to watch it. So there's another culture. So you got this, you got this thing that you learned in your family, and then this thing you learned in your community, and then you got this thing you learned at your job, and you're afraid, and they give you a gun. They teach you culture sensitivity. But this is not about being sensitive to the culture. This is about being able to manage your emotions, of being fearful, of having anxiety, so much anxiety that it was easy for you to pull out a gun and shoot somebody because you were afraid. And you could even say that you were a racist. Being prejudiced is an emotion. And some people can't manage that. Again, I don't have a problem with anybody being prejudiced. As long as you don't stop me from getting a job, as long as you don't try to kill me, as long as you don't try to cut me, as long as you don't try to harm me in any way, you can be prejudiced all you want. Go ahead, do it. You can even not like people with blue jean caps and orange shirts. I don't care. As long as you're able to manage that emotion. So you can imagine being afraid with a license to kill. That's a recipe for disaster. Being prejudiced and afraid with a license to kill. Being unequipped to emotionally handle your job as it escalates. Because if these people go to target practice, what's the purpose in having target practice if, in fact, you can't shoot a leg? I'm just saying. That was just an offbeat. Right. And so be clear. And again, these are my emotions. These are my feelings. These are my thoughts. I don't want anybody getting down on Anna Deshawn. What was the lesson that we could have learned from all of that? And one of the things that I took away, that I allowed myself to take away in that, is that I absolutely, and at this point, we can't even say, well, do the right thing and don't say anything and don't move, because we don't know that to be the truth. But what I am going to do is to say that everybody, no matter who you are, has emotions and fears and anxieties that need to be managed. And until we get to a place as a society to know that that is what's driving this country into a negative place, it's going to get worse. And of course, then we have to talk about the last, and we're going over here a little bit, the shooting in Dallas. And it's rumored that this man specifically said that he wanted to kill white people and that he wanted to kill white cops specifically. Unmanaged emotions. He's angry. He's upset. He's anxiety filled. He's hopeless. He's helpless. He's scared. His ego is being bruised. And I mean, you take on all of those things. Does it give him a right? Absolutely not. But what do we have here? We have unmanaged emotions. And those unmanaged emotions allow me to plan, in most cases, plan and prepare to do an ill deed. I got some people that would rather be without therapy than to tell somebody they're seeing somebody. I'm seeing a therapist. There's some people that won't like my post on Facebook because they don't want anybody to know that they even read it. let alone see it, let alone could use it. Right. So be clear. I'm very happy when people approach me for therapy, because guess what? They've already started growing. To dial my number, to inbox me and say, hey, I need some help, that's growth. And many people don't know how to do that. Many people don't know how to do that. You're right. Somebody says you can teach cop techniques, but you can't change you're right. You can't change a complex. But guess what? If you had professionals to tend to, that these people had mandated, and I'm not sure what their mandate is, but I guarantee you that someone sees the emotions of these people when they go to these places. We're not ignorant. Many of us have great gifts of discernments. I can imagine that a police chief would have at least half the people on his staff that were good cops that could say, hey, my buddy is under pressure. Yeah, last week he kind of he did some things that weren't right. So again, the fear of being judged keeps me from even saying anything about this. Right. Unmanaged emotions. Unmanaged emotions. So I want you to grow on this. Who is exempt from feeling? Nobody. We all feel. Who can control how they respond to their emotions and their feelings? Everybody. We're all, if you have the mental capacity to acknowledge what you feel, I'm about to get a lot of people in a lot of trouble. If you have the mental capacity to acknowledge what you feel, you have the mental capacity to manage what you feel. Manage means that what you think, what you feel, how you behave is not going to be adverse to yourself or to anyone else. And you can do that. So I need you to be clear about this. Rich people get depressed. Famous people act ignorant. Pro athletes act reckless. Cops get scared. Kids get cocky. Moms get spiteful. Teachers go on rage. Parents of gay children are homophobic. Pastors can be judgmental. Toddlers, yes, I said toddlers, people. They can be rude. African Americans can be passive. Caucasians can feel inferior. And LGBTQ folks can be unforgiving. Now, I just went against all the stereotypes. But guess what the common denominator is? There's two. We're human and we have emotions that need to be managed. And if everybody needs an out, let me give you an out. We didn't learn it in school. We learned algebra. And I'm not sure about you, but no one has asked me an algebra question since I left high school. Meanwhile, I didn't know anything about relationships, about love, about trust, about compromise, about communication, about speaking my truth. I didn't know any of those things. Yeah, I'm mad at somebody. Anyway, that's all right. I got you. I got you. I got you. It's not about what we feel or even how you feel, but rather how you behave and how you react to what you feel. Did you get that? Let me say that again. It's not about what you feel or how you feel, but rather how you behave and how you react to what you feel. Who's responsible? You're responsible. And I know what you say. They ought to know better. Where did they get it from? Know better takes a little bit more than just knowing better. You have to know how to do better, and that takes growth. Growth takes awareness. Awareness requires a self-assessment. And obviously, we humans are not big fans of self-assessment. We don't like that. It doesn't look good. We're too busy saying what we would do or what we wouldn't do, not realizing that we're already doing some of those things, and some of those things have already been done. Some people want to believe that they wouldn't harm somebody, but I guarantee you that your tongue cuts somebody, probably weekly. I can imagine that your silence kills somebody's spirit weekly. So we can't say that we're without. But again, we have to get to a place where we're able to manage those emotions. I don't believe that we will ever convince people to not hate, to not be racist, or damn the gays, or to not fear, or to move beyond a place of ignorance. But I do believe that we can all grow to a place of acceptance. And no, not acceptance of who you are or who you choose to be, but rather acceptance of the road that we all should seek to travel that will make us better managers of our emotions. That acceptance. That's what we need. We clear about that? Y'all need me to repeat that? Because I wrote that part down. You need me to repeat that? Let me repeat that. Let me repeat that. I don't believe that we're ever going to convince people not to hate, not to condemn, not to judge. But what we can all do in order for us to exist as humans is to be accepting of the place that we're in. I know for myself, I am very clear that I am not going to hell because of what somebody else thinks about me. And so for that reason, I move that button. I manage that emotion where I don't get enraged when someone says that I'm going to burn in hell for X, Y, and Z. Why would I allow myself? That's the other thing, people. Consider the power you give people when you allow them to move you. Some of us will allow strangers to move us when our children can't move us, when our parents can't move us. We will allow a stranger with words or with actions to move us in ways that are ugly for the most part. So I want you guys to consider this. There are two very important emotions that I need to give a little extra attention to. And that is hopelessness and powerlessness. Because those two things are definitely things that lead to suicide. And I'm not just talking about death of the body. I'm talking about death of the spirit, death of the mind, death of the emotions. To feel powerlessness and not be able to manage that, or to feel hopelessness and to not be able to manage that, is absolutely going to take us to a place of suicide in some form or another. And I want you all to be clear that ignorance, hate, judgment, prejudice, and other adverse emotions are born in our families, in our culture, in our community, in our workplace, in our organization, in our government, and guess where else, people? In our churches. We need to be clear. That's where it's bred at. Please don't believe that you got to get on a plane and fly out the country to find, that ain't it. Guess what, people? We grow it, we store it, and we pass it on. Did you get that? We grow it, we store it, and we pass it on. Hate and ignorance and judgment and prejudice. We grow it, we store it, and we pass it on. I'm going to put it to you like this. If it was a substance, we could all be arrested for possession with intent to distribute. Did y'all get that? I know some of my people got that, because I know some of my people know just what I'm talking about, right? We have this hatred, these unmanaged emotions. We got this thing going on, and we keep it, and without your permission, and sometimes without your knowledge, you're passing that on to our young people, to the people you sleep with, to the people you work with, to all those people. I want to pause for the cause right here, because I'm about to sign off. And I may regret doing this, but I'm going to ask you guys that if you were moved one way or the other by seeing me, by hearing me, any of those things, I want you to hit me up on Facebook. I do have a Twitter account. I'm not very active with Twitter, but I want to know what you got and if it did anything for you. I want to know if you grew. Why does that matter to me? Well, it matters to me a lot, but it also gives other people the opportunity to see that this is something that can happen. This is literally what just happened, is that we just had a little free therapy. And I give it away. So there's some people who have not ever heard Conversation with Angie Harvey before, and I need you to know that the conversation doesn't have to stop here. In that, we have 100+ archived conversations on Conversations with Angie Harvey. They can be downloaded free on iTunes. You can also go to the internet. I said I was going to put up. Let me give you guys a moment. Can you see this? Can you see that? Oh, it's not clear, is it? Nah. Okay, so I have to give you the information. You'll have to get it from me. Most of those people know me. So anyway, the other thing is you can check me out on my website, angieharveyonline.com. I also have some stuff on YouTube. You can like me on my fan page. I'm actually very close to 5,000 people on Facebook, so I can't accept any more friends, but you absolutely can follow me on my fan page, and that's Angie Harvey. I want to take that pause so that you can get that information so you can know how to keep growing, because I'm hoping that the growing doesn't stop here. Here's the bottom line, people. I tell people all the time, it's one thing to take in information, but it's a whole nother thing to be able to use the information. Many people read self-help books, I got a lot of them here. I got the 5 love languages. I got the couples companion. I got a lot of different self-help books here. These pages don't mean anything if you don't apply what you learned. So tonight, I'm hoping I gave you something to grow on. But it's not, I don't want you to say, Angie, that was a good word. Angie, you did good. Oh, Angie, da, da, da. I could care less about that. I can care less about what I said, more about what you heard, but bigger than that, about what you're going to do with what you know. There's not a reason in the world. I promised you all if you showed up that we would grow up. So you have to be able to apply the paint. And I know what you're saying, Angie, how am I going to do that? Apply the paint. What you talking about? That means that the knowledge is the paint. And if you don't change, if you don't apply the paint, the color of your world never changes. You get that? The knowledge is the paint. You have to put the knowledge on in order for the, yeah. Gotta do that. How do you do that? I need y'all to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Come on, check yourself before you wreck yourself. People, you gotta check yourself, and you gotta check yourself first. You're asking, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Get you together. That's a great start. Get you together. So we don't have to pick you up. So we don't have to work. Get you together. And then maybe check in with others. Communicate, people. I'm not talking about just being judgmental or just being gossipy. I mean, have conversations. Talk about what can happen. Because you do realize that until we collectively come together as people, there won't be change. And in order for us to collectively come together as people, we have to get ourselves together to be able to sit at that table. Because, you know, some of y'all will say, it ain't none of us there. I ain't going in there. Right? Yeah, no, that's not cool. We're not going to do that. The other thing I need you to do is I need you to please, 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 people, check your emotions. Check your emotions. Check your emotions. Check your emotions. In some instances, you might end up having to write a check because there's some people that maybe can use it. But bigger than that, I need everybody just to check themselves, to be about you, to be about you. And so we've gone over just a little bit, and I thank you all for staying with me. I thank everybody that called in, everybody that hung in on the phones, that listened via the internet. Let me know how you like this live thing. I need y'all to know that I am sweating bullets. I'm hot. I'm nervous. I don't know what y'all going to say. If y'all going to like the orange colored shirt. Is my hat too anything? Y'all didn't let me get any water because nobody called in, but that's okay because you know what? I'm going to take it anyway. But anyway, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for showing up. I want to thank you for giving me the time of the day to hear this message. But bigger than that, I just want to say thank you for allowing yourselves to be open enough to tune in. Because whether you want to believe it or not, just listening to the program is growth. You got that? All right. We good? You good? We good? Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know how you feel. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you. And let me know how it works. And I'm getting lots of thumbs up and lots of love, lots of love, lots of love. I understand that once I press finish, that this is then archived. And you guys, please feel free to share it. I know there are many, many, many people that could use the information. And I want everybody to know I don't need to say this for many people, but for some people I might. This is not about this face. It's not about my name. It's not about any of that. It's about us all growing up. It's about the words that come out of this mouth that are administered from, right? And I just want to be clear that people get it. That people get it. If this could be a black screen, I could be like this. Well, I mean, you have to be able to see these are my elegant eyes. You guys like those? Elegant eyes. Okay. Now I'm dragging things. What I'm really supposed to say is, love ya, miss ya. Bye-bye. I'm out of here.